Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It is good to be back in the Bronx. And it is great to be here to cut the ribbon on 10 newly resurfaced professional-grade tennis courts right here in Cortona Park. Can we have a round of applause? We are joined here today by leaders from inside and outside of city government, and I want to just take a moment first to acknowledge USTA Foundation CEO Ginny Ehrlich, who's here with us. Yonex USA President Lanice Douglas, who's here with us. NYJTL CEO President Uday Tambar, who's here with us. My former colleague and still friend, Assemblymember Chantel Jackson, who's here with us. Current colleague and current friend, Councilmember Amanda Farias, who's here with us. Our Bronx Community Board 3 District Manager, Etta Ritter, who is here with us. Also, our first Deputy Commissioner, Mark Folk from New York City Parks. And I want to just give a special shout out to Larry Leeds as well. Absolutely. Now, New York City is a town that moves fast and fights for every advantage. So it is only fitting that when people think of world-class tennis, they think of our city. From the more than 500 public courts and parks across the 5 boroughs to the more than 100-year history of the U.S. Open in Queens, the sport has been played, shaped, and transformed by New Yorkers from all walks of life. I'm thinking of New Yorkers like Mayor David Dinkins, who did not pick up a... We should have a round of applause for Mayor Dinkins. Mayor Dinkins, who did not pick up a racket until he was 40 years old. I think of the kids practicing their topspin and their volleys right behind me. I think of the athletes who grew up in Harlem and Queens and would go on to become some of the greatest players the sport has ever seen. Players like Althea Gibson, who learned by playing with her friends on a roped-off street on 143rd Street before playing on the courts of the Cosmopolitan Tennis Club in Sugar Hill, and who would later become the first black player to ever compete in and win a Grand Slam in 1956. I think of players like John McEnroe, or Johnny Mac to those who've been around long enough to watch him play, who long before he became the world #1 was just a kid from Douglaston with a racket and a dream. Though Gibson and McEnroe grew up in different boroughs and in different eras, though they played a very different game, New York City gave them both the same opportunities, courts to play on and the chance to be great. And today, as we cut the ribbon on these 10 newly resurfaced courts, we are giving that legacy a new life. These courts are some of the most popular in the Bronx. They are home to the country's largest free junior tennis competition, the Mayor Dinkins Cup, hosted by our partners at New York Junior Tennis and Learning, and featuring more than 800 young players from across the city. And yet for too long, these courts have been worn down, with cracks in the surface that make bounces unpredictable and play all too difficult. Today, I'm proud to say that we've given these kids and New Yorkers across the Bronx not only a court to play on, but a new, repaired, professional-grade surface that will allow them the chance to be great. I want to commend New York City Parks and the workers who completed this refurbishment in just 3 weeks. I want to thank the USTA Foundation for their work to bring tennis into the lives of young people across the country, for their investment in coach training and professional-grade courts like these, and for their partnership with Yonex that provided the grant that made today possible. And I'm deeply... Yes, we should... And I'm deeply grateful for New York Junior Tennis and Learning's leadership and for their work to ensure that tennis belongs to everyone. Just as we made it possible for New Yorkers to watch the beautiful game up close throughout the World Cup, we have also partnered with USTA to make 1,000 discounted tickets available for New Yorkers to do the same at the US Open. Now, those tickets went on sale about 12 minutes ago, and they're probably sold out. New York City would not be synonymous with world-class tennis if it were not for everything that the USTA does to make this sport accessible. I'm grateful for their partnership in this effort and for their work to ensure that every New Yorker has the opportunity to watch the world's greatest players perform on the world stage. Because whether you're watching or whether you're playing, there is no doubt about it. It is the season of tennis here in New York City. And we want the 12-year-old who is awed by Alcaraz's signature drop shot or Sabalenka's serve in the night match to be able to come out here the next morning and to try it themselves. We want seasoned players and amateurs alike to know the satisfaction that comes from hitting on a high-quality court, one without a sagging net, without dead spots, without weeds growing on the service line. And we want all New Yorkers to be able to share in the magic of tennis as they watch and play the game that they love. Thank you all so much, and thank you to everyone who made this possible. I have to also acknowledge our council member, Justin Sanchez, here in an official council member tennis uniform. You got your Yonex racket. Well, I would love to introduce Uday Tambur and call him to the stage, the CEO and president of NYJTL.
All right. Thank you and good morning. Thank you not just to the mayor, but also to NYC Parks, the USTA Foundation, and Yonex for making this revitalization possible. NYJTL was founded over 50 years ago by Arthur Ashe, who understood that tennis teaches discipline and resilience. And at NYJTL, he created NYJTL so that young people could benefit from these lessons and carry them into all aspects of their lives. Today, NYJTL reaches 90,000 young people across the city. We offer free programs in 100 unique locations throughout the 5 boroughs. We use these parks, as the mayor said, for the Mayor Dinkins Cup. We also host our free community tennis programs on these very courts. A few steps from here, you have our Carey Lead Center, which is our flagship home, where we partner with local schools, the local police precincts, local residents. We provide free community programs, free court time each year. It's a true community center where everyone comes together. They can connect, they can learn, and they can thrive. The mayor mentioned the U.S. Open, and the U.S. Open is just 6 miles from here. And for many people, many young people, it can often feel like it's beyond their reach. But when they step onto a court that reflects the sport's highest standards, that distance begins to narrow. These courts sent a powerful message to Bronx youth. You deserve every opportunity to imagine a future as ambitious as your talent. So on behalf of NYJTL and the Bronx, I want to thank the USTA Foundation. Thanks Yonex for the significant investment. We approach the foundation to help identify funding to restore these courts to professional standards. And the result shows what happens when government, community organizations, philanthropy, and the private sector work together towards a shared goal. I also want to thank Mayor Mamdani for recognizing the importance of this event. Your presence here means a lot. Thank you. And I know he gave a shout out because they're his people to the parks, but I also want to acknowledge Parks, Commissioner Ponte and the team for great partners for making this project a reality. 3 weeks is not a lot of time to make this happen. Lastly, Arthur Ashe knew the lessons learned through tennis could shape a young person's future. And thanks to the contributions we're celebrating today, thousands of young people will step onto these courts and discover what they're capable of achieving, both in tennis and in life. So thank you. Now it's my pleasure to introduce USTA Foundation CEO Ginny Ehrlich.
Good morning, everyone. What a spectacular and beautiful day to welcome these courts and celebrate these amazing 10 courts that are a product of a community of effort. Mayor Mamdani, thank you so much for being here. It's such an honor. Uday Tambur, thank you for your leadership of making sure that young people have access to not only the game of tennis, but hopes, dreams, and all the supports they need to live their best life stories every day. Lenice, thank you to you and to Yonex for making this possible for this community. And thank you to all of the community leaders who are with us today, as well as the USTA Eastern leadership here today, my team, and the Young Professionals Initiative. It truly has taken a village to make this happen, and we couldn't be prouder of being here. For more than 30 years, the USTA Foundation's been transforming lives of young people and communities through the power of tennis, education, and mentorship. NYJTL is one of our flagship programs. NYJTL is not only a part of our National Junior in Tennis and Learning Network founded by Arthur Ashe, Charlie Passerelle, and Sheridan Snyder, but also one of our inaugural 10 Community Impact Hubs, an initiative that we announced at the U.S. Open last year and is now on track to reach 680,000 young people and family members across 10 communities in the United States, and by 2027, 285,000 here in New York City. So thank you, NYJTL, for taking this on. We know that once these families catch the tennis bug, they will be out here on these beautiful courts getting to play. And that creates access to this community and unparalleled access in this park, because I understand it's the only place where there are lit courts for evening play, which is so important for families. So thank you to NYJTL and the City Parks Commission for making that part of the vision. Our amazing partner, Yonex, has not only supported this project, but is the official equipment partner for our Community Impact Hub initiative across the country, and has invested $270,000 to give young people here and across the country access to our beautiful game of tennis. I can't wait to start using these courts and helping these young people behind us who are playing do the same every day and have a safe haven to be, a place to dream, and a place to thrive, grow, and learn. And with that, I'm so pleased to introduce our partner, Lenice Douglas, President of Yonex North America. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Yonex, I'm proud and honored to be here alongside New York Junior Tennis and Learning, the USTA Foundation, and everyone who helped bring this project to life. At Yonex, we deeply believe that sport has the power to bring people together. But for tennis to make an impact in someone's life, they have to have a place to play. And that starts with access. Access to courts in their own neighborhood, access to equipment, coaches, programs, and to a community that makes them feel like they belong in the sport. And that's why today is so meaningful. These 10 courts are more than just newly resurfaced places to play. These public spaces are where young people will pick up a racket for the first time, families will come together, and where the next generation can build confidence, friendships, and skills that they'll take beyond tennis. Through our partnership with the USTA Foundation's Community Impact Hub initiative, Yonex is committed to helping revitalize courts across the country that are often overlooked, while also providing equipment to help make the sport more accessible. We're especially proud to be supporting NYJTL, an organization that spent more than 55 years creating opportunities for young people across New York City. At Yonex, we believe potential exists everywhere, and opportunity should too. Our hope is that thousands of young people step onto these courts, many for the very first time, and discover not only the love for tennis, but also a place where they feel welcome, supported, and inspired. I want to thank NYJTL, UDE, the USTA Foundation, Jenny, NYC Parks, the entire Bronx community, Mayor Mamdani. We're incredibly proud to be part of this moment and excited to see the courts filled with players for many years to come. So thank you, everyone, and we hope you all enjoy the courts.
And now we're going to do the ribbon cutting ceremony. Yep.
Mayor, we'll have you right here in the center. Photographers, please be cognizant of the cameras in the back. Please crouch. Thank you so much.
I know. We have one more for Councilman. Okay, I think we got one more. Everyone has one?
Okay, please hold. Okay, please hold.
We're going to hold.
I'm
not going to tell them.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, hold. And now we're going to cut on 3. 1, 2, 3, cut. Now we're going
Leave the scissors back here.
Everybody's pushing for the group photo.
Yes, absolutely.
Can everyone look right here? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Can we all look at this gentleman here next? Blue shirt. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Now we're taking questions. Everybody wants
All right, we're going to start. We've got time for a couple questions from the press, and we're going to start with on-topic questions. If anyone has an on-topic question to start. All right, no on-topic. We'll go to on-topic. Well, you were first up, so Dan, we'll go with you to start for off-topic. Thank you.
1 second, just getting a microphone.
The city's court filings on the second home luxury tax, it seems like the number of covered properties is dwindling by the thousands and getting closer to the 5,000 homes affected that a former city finance commissioner estimated. So tell me, why do you see the numbers dwindling so fast, and what does this mean since your budgets assume years out you're going to get $500 million each year?
We continue to be confident in that assessment of what the annual revenue will look like. And what we see right now is that we have 3 categories of properties that we're going to be sending out letters to. To your question, 2 of those 3 categories, one of them is to properties owned by a corporate entity like an LLC or a trust, where the Department of Finance does not have sufficient information on a primary residence holder. That applies to about 6,400 households. Then the third category is properties where the Department of Finance does not have any 2025 tax returns that would indicate whether or not this is a primary residence holder. That amounts to about 4,400 households.
Why were these estimates so wildly overestimated when you were starting with a pool of 26,000 potentially covered properties?
So by my last count, I think we sent out less than 20,000 you may be subject to letters. I think it was about 17 or 18,000. And at the time that we sent those out, we did not have access to the 2025 income tax filings. That is something that is typically released in February of the next calendar year. The state has now provided us with early access to those filings, and that's what's informing these 3 categorizations of the letters.
Thank you. We've got time for a few more. We're going to go with Heather.
Hi, Mayor. How are you?
If you can name your favorite tennis player before you ask the question, though.
Oh, no. Serena Williams. I need to brush up on my tennis. I apologize. Okay, so completely different topic,
Yep.
but right now the NYPD is searching for Jesus Acosta, who's wanted for a robbery and murder in a bodega here in the Bronx. He was also connected to a homicide in Brooklyn. The Bronx DA confirms that he has 5 local arrests, and there's also a report showing he was paroled in April after a 10-year sentence for a subway shooting. Do you think that there should be more harsher penalties to keep people with records like this behind bars, or should there be more coordination with the state and local courts in order to ensure people like this aren't getting out on parole and causing more mayhem in the city?
Well, I think first and foremost, we know that when the NYPD makes something a top priority for them, it is something that they put every single resource that they have towards it, and I'm confident in their abilities of being able to find him. And what this speaks to is the importance of public safety. And to me, every day is an opportunity for us to do more. We're proud of the fact that we're reducing shootings and murders to the lowest levels in recorded history in our city. And we also know that there's always more work to be done, especially as we're speaking about this in the Bronx, where we know in recent weeks we've seen the kinds of shootings that have torn families apart, and frankly entire neighborhoods that are still shattered by the loss of the young people that has been stolen from them. So this will continue to be a top priority for us.
And then really quick, secondly, City and State is reporting that some child care providers have not received the advance funding from the city and DOE ahead of the first day of school, and they're having to take out loans and dig into their own pockets in order to be able to open on September 10th. Do you have any explanation for the delays or when these providers will be able to see those funds come in?
So this is something that is a top priority for our New York City public school system, is to put significant additional resources towards the registration of these early childhood education contracts and to ensure that every single provider is ready for the first day of school. And that both includes whether their contract will be registered or whether they'll be provided with an interest-free loan.
Great. And then we're going to go with Catherine, then Chris from CBS.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Favorite tennis player?
Coco Gauff.
All right. She
okay.
just recently won, I think, a tournament.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, good one. Good one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Building off of Dan's question, also in the filing it says that there's going to be approximately 4,000 property owners will receive a letter informing them that they won't be subject to the tax. Was that always part of the initial rollout, or was it always the plan to send people the letters and then they would have to file for exemption themselves?
The plan always was that we wanted to give New Yorkers enough time to ask any questions that may come to mind, to appeal for an exemption, and that is part and parcel of why we hired dozens of additional civil servants to be able to actually reach out to those New Yorkers to field those kinds of questions, and that we changed the business center such that they could actually accept any questions in person wherever they were in any one of the 5 boroughs. And so, yes, there have been a number of New Yorkers who have filed for exemptions. We have about 3,000 of which have been accepted thus far, and we will continue that process until October 6th. And then after that point, if New Yorkers still want to appeal an assessment, they can still appeal to the tax commission until early next year.
But were the letters saying that they'd be exempt from the tax always part of the rollout, or did that come following the court back and forth?
The letters that are being sent now as a result of early access to the 2025 income tax filings, that is a reflection of the new information we have, and letting New Yorkers know if they haven't started an exemption process that they don't have to, because we have the requisite information now.
Thanks. Then we'll go to Chris at CBS.
Billie Jean King, because she broke down barriers in the 70s for sure, right?
Thank you.
There you go.
Great answer.
So what would you want to say to the people who erroneously got some of these tax bills for second homes, and do you have any plans on extending the exemption?
You know, we've extended the exemption deadline to October 6th, and again, if someone does not appeal by that time, they can still appeal to the tax commission until early next year. However, we're confident that with a little more than a month and with this newfound information, that should be a requisite amount of time. And to any owner who has additional questions, what I would always say is that we are here to answer those questions, whether that is through the Department of Finance, whether that's through calling 311, whether that's going in person at a business center. Our job is to answer those questions. Our job is to make this process as easy as possible.
Great. We've got time for just one more question from the press. Yep.
Morning, Mr. Mayor.
Morning.
Hi. Favorite tennis player is Gabby Douglas.
Okay.
So from City and State yesterday, I was the one who reported about the discrepancy in the funding for 3K and 2K and 3K and pre-K. So in my experience while speaking to these education providers, a lot of them expressed a lot of concern about the idea of universal 2K because under these conditions of them not getting their payments on time, and a lot of them spoke to me about regularly receiving late payments, almost a month late. And so they said they spoke to you in February and kind of discussed their concerns regarding pay parity and how a 2K rollout is supposed to go forward under this current condition of not being able to get properly funded for 3K and pre-K. So under these recent experiences, I guess what would you say about your impending 2K rollout?
Well, first what I want to say is thank you to these childcare providers, because they are such a critical part of what even makes universal childcare a possibility in our city. And in that time that I spent with them, what I also heard from them was the importance of the city being responsive to the variety of needs that they have. We made the decision to invest tens of millions of dollars in additional funding for a better contract for many of these providers because they hadn't seen an update to that contract for many years while a lot of their costs had been going up. We also made the decision to create a grant fund for childcare providers who are in need of immediate financial assistance, and the absence of that could force them to go under. And this is all a reflection of the fact that we don't have this childcare system without these providers, without these childcare workers. And we're also not going to accept what has been the standard from the city over the last many years of these kinds of delays. And that's why this is a top priority for us to both fix this for now and fix this for the future as well.
For providers in the immediate who are looking like a September 10th opening is not possible for them, they can't pay their teachers, they can't pay their custodians to open the schools, they can't afford the meals that they have to give the kids mandated. What is a solution? Because right now it seems like the bridge loan is the only solution. A lot of them have not seen a response yet for their application for a bridge loan.
We have made this very clear that this is a top priority internally, and New York City Public Schools will be pursuing that, whether it means through the registration of those contracts expeditiously or it means through the provision of an interest-free loan, because these providers should have all the resources they need to start school and start providing what, frankly, is an essential service for so many families across the city.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for today.